So today, see, we are doing the principles and techniques of biology, biotechnology, and recombinant DNA technology. You have learned. See, I have given you 2-3 classes where I have on and on revised and said you what biotechnology is, what is this. So everything you will find in your previous video. In your last video, the basics of biotechnology, that the creation of what is recombinant DNA, creation of recombinant DNA, vector, target gene, and how they are put inside, what is their utility, everything was told to you. But then details of it, how to insert, how to take, and what is transformation, transduction, conjugation, endonuclease, all these things we understood. Last day we understood about the enzymes that we require in case of various types of cells. Then the endonucleases, details about the endonucleases. We have also understood that sticky end and blunt end, or sticky cut or blunt cut. We have understood, if you remember, the naming of the endonucleases. Then we have understood about the vectors, if you remember, and what should be the properties of a good vector. This everything you will find in your in your previous video or in your previous class. Okay, so this is this is Dream 11. Anyway, so today we will learn certain few more tips. Look, what is the name of the chapter? The name of the chapter is Principles. এই হলো প্রবলেম, অটো ফোকাস। ওকে, প্রিন্সিপালস and techniques, তাই না? So principles we have learned a lot. Now we will shift towards technique. See, first of all, I would like to ask you a question. Suppose there is a genome. Okay, now in this genome, this is your target DNA. You will cut it with an endonuclease, I understand. But how will you separate the fragments? Now don't say me that স্যার আমি তো জানি কোন জিনটা কাটছি, দেখবি কীভাবে, সেপারেট করবি কীভাবে? তুই তো টেস্ট টিউবে কাজ করবি, you will work in test tube. So how will you separate this fragment, or how will you, as for that matter, separate various fragments? Okay, suppose for example there is a vector or a plasmid which is normal. There is a plasmid which has taken up the target gene. Suppose this is the target gene which has taken up the target gene. Okay, now this plasmid is little bit small in size, this is little bit large in size. So how will you separate them? দেখ কখনো কখনো কি হয়, suppose you in a test tube you have given plasmids, you have given endonucleases. Okay, so these are plasmids you have given endonucleases, you have put endonucleases, and after you put the plasmids and the endonucleases, so and you have put the target gene. Target জিনটা ভিতরে ঢুকাই দিলি, ঠিক আছে? So when you do this, when you put the target gene inside, then what will happen? Some of the plasmids will take it up, some will not take it up. Then from this mixture, how will you separate? তাহলে দেখ, in recombinant DNA technology, your work is to, first step is what? Cut the genome. তখনও there is importance of separation, and take the target gene out. There is a case of separation there also, कि genome থেকে বাকি genome থেকে target gene. Second, ligate it with a vector. তখনও there is a question of separation, কারণ কি some of the vectors will be like that only, some will take up the gene. So how will you separate them? For separating them, there is a technique known as gel electrophoresis for separating the DNAs. Okay, So this is what we will understand. Gel electrophoresis, a step tar poreo gel electrophoresis they do. Those scientists who practice recombinant DNA technology, after this step also they practice gel electrophoresis so that they can separate the required fragments of the DNA in each of the steps. So we will learn about gel electrophoresis. The technique of gel electrophoresis we will learn. Technique of gel electrophoresis that we will learn, the technique of gel electrophoresis that we will learn is actually two-dimensional gel electrophoresis. Gel electrophoresis. So what happens in two-dimensional gel electrophoresis is that, first of all, we need agarose gel. Agarose gel is available in the market, in packets. Okay, no, market means market of science. Okay, মুদির দোকানে গেলে তো আর পাবি না agarose gel. Okay, contact করতে হবে those who sell these things. So it is available in the market, you can say. You mix it with, it is in powder form. Now what happens is, when you mix with water, it creates a slurry which then solidifies. So if you can take a trough means একটা এরকম প্লেটের মতো, okay, and put the slurry in it, the slurry will solidify here. So this is a agarose gel. Now take this gel plate and place it like this. Let this be the agarose gel plate. Okay, এটা side view, এটা top view. Okay, now on that you will place another trough in which there will be buffer and various segments of DNA. Now what happens, through this gel মধ্যে ছোট ছোট pores থাকে. This I have told you earlier also. Through these pores, what happens, the DNA starts going. Now the DNA which has the largest length will remain at the back, and the DNA which has the smallest length will come here. This happens because the smallest DNA will have, because it is smallest, it will run fastest and come at the end. This is called density gradient separation. In gel electrophoresis. Okay, this is called density gradient separation in gel electrophoresis. Now, many say that density gradient separation is centrifugation, but centrifugation is different. Centrifugation, you take the bottle and rotate it, and then the heavier things come down and the lighter things remain up. So that is also same type of concept, but it is happening in a gel. Okay, so this is a density gradient separation in a gel electrophoresis. This is one thing that you understand first. Keep in one corner of your brain. If you have understood up to this much in the previous video, now if we move forward, we have to understand what is isoelectric point. Isoelectric point. Now suppose you take a gel and arrange this gel, here put a positive terminal or positive electrode, here put a negative electrode, okay, and in this gel create pH gradient. Let it be pH 0, let this be pH 1, let this be pH 2, in between like this, let this be pH 3, up to 14, dot. Suppose somewhere here is pH 7, okay. Now The pH gradient is there. You load the DNA here. All the DNA fragments you load here. So load DNA fragments. Now after you load the DNA fragments, what will happen? The DNA molecule which is negatively charged will start this is positive terminal, this is negative terminal. Okay, will start moving towards the positive terminal. Now at a particular pH, some of the DNA will come and stop moving. Now this particular pH where they are stopping to move, actually at a particular pH, the particular DNA fragment stops moving, and the reason behind that stops moving, and the reason behind that is at that pH it loses all its charge. Wow. So a pH where a DNA fragment loses all its charge is isoelectric point, right? So when there is an isoelectric point and losing the isoelectric point is what you understood. So reaching an isoelectric point, some particular number of, not only one DNA fragment, there will be little size difference. It is not on the basis of size, but there will be little size difference, not a very big size difference. Okay, so some closely sized DNA fragments, closely sized means not very big size differences are there in between these DNA fragments which have a particular isoelectric point, and they will stop moving because isoelectric point they will move become neutral or lose all its charge. So this technique is known as isoelectric focusing, finding out the isoelectric point. So you have done isoelectric focusing now. Now what we will do, let us try to understand. Okay. First you will take the DNA extract. How did you extract the DNA? You extract the DNA by using various enzymes which can lyse the cell, which can lyse the nucleus. You have used various endonucleases. So you have basically used a solution containing enzymes, lots of enzymes and buffers, right? Why buffers? Because the DNA that is coming out in the solution should not get degraded and its chemical integrity should remain. So that's why buffer should be used. pH idhar udhar hone se nahi hoga. So that's why its charge and everything should remain. The proteins and everything will be there, okay, which have lysed and come out, the cell proteins and everything. So from here you have to isolate the DNA. How can you isolate the DNA? Add chilled ethanol or isopropyl alcohol. When you add chilled ethanol or isopropyl alcohol, what will happen is, slightly if you add, the chilled ethanol and isopropyl alcohol is not at all miscible in this liquid, and hence what will happen, they will try to form a layer, and at that layer the DNA fragments will come and form a condensed deposit. Coming out of the solution. Now what happens? This is taken out by a glass rod or spatula. This entire process is called spooling. This entire process is called spooling. Now after you have spooled the DNAs, you have already spooled the DNAs now, like you have learned here. right? So you have spooled the DNAs. Now you put the DNA in buffer again, which maintains the charge of the DNA. Okay. Now after you put the DNA in the buffer, then you load the DNA here and do isoelectric focusing of the DNA. Right? So this is also separation of the fragments, because this will separate on the basis of the charge and the size of the fragment, and closely sized fragments, not equal but closely sized fragments, will be here. So this is, a horizontal separation. Right? So you will at first do spooled the DNAs, add to the buffer and do isoelectric focusing of it. Understood? After you do the isoelectric focusing, which is horizontal separation, okay, after you do the isoelectric focusing, which is the horizontal separation, after you do it, then take this thing, okay, take it and put it here. Take this thing and put it here on the top and allow density gradient separation. But this time what will happen, when vertically you will try to separate it on an agarose gel, and the isoelectrically focused gel is here, so closely related fragments are here, some other closely related fragments are, closely sized fragments are there, some other are here. So this will run through this line, and as because this is just density gradient separation and no electricity applied, it will separate on the basis of the size. So even if there is very close, very big difference between the sizes, still the smaller well will come at the bottom and the larger well will be at the top. So in that way, here you will get a line, under this you will get it will look as if like this. Then again like this it will look, yes or no? Under this one, this all the fragments have the same isoelectric point, all this fragment has the same isoelectric point, all these fragments have the same isoelectric point, and they will be separated. So this is in the agarose gel. So I hope that this is the entire process is two-dimensional gel electrophoresis. This entire process is known as two-dimensional gel electrophoresis. The gel electrophoresis, though, I hope you have understood. In case of gel electrophoresis, what you have to do? You have to take agarose gel. In the agarose gel, at first you have to do isoelectric focusing. Put the DNA and let them run towards the positive end, but they will stop running at some point because they have lost all their charge, and that is their isoelectric point. And take this and put it on the trough, and hence what you will get this kind of pattern, and they will separate out. But will you be able to see them with the naked eye? No, you will not be able to see them with the naked eye. So to see them, where are the DNA, the fragments, to see them where are the DNA fragments, what you should actually do is you should treat with number 1. I will write here only choto choto kore. So you should treat with number 1, ethidium bromide. Ethidium bromide. You can treat with ethidium bromide. Now if you treat with ethidium bromide and pass UV light through it, the fragments will glow orange. Right? Or the second thing you can do is you can treat it with radio labeled probe, just to see it. Radio labeled probe. What is a radio labeled probe? Suppose a fragment of a DNA ATGCCT, which is complementary to one of the places here, and the probe will go and bind. This is generally done in case of VNTR repeats or HTR repeats, which you have learned in molecular biology chapter, where you know that what is the sequence, and we add the probe, and hence what will happen, they were radio labeled and they will emit light, and hence we can see it. I hope you remember I have said this previously also. So this is how we try to see it. Okay, so I hope that you have understood. The technique of gel electrophoresis was given by Tiselius. Okay, so I hope that you have understood. But do you think, or do you really think Do you really think कि this agarose gel is a good thing to store this DNA? DNA, all the DNAs are extracted here, right, or found here. এটাকে ডিএনএটাকে স্টোর করে রাখার জন্য, or to keep the DNA stored, is agarose gel a really good thing? Tick. No, it is not. It is not a good thing. So to permanently store it, you should store it in nitrocellulose membrane. Nitrocellulose membrane, a much durable membrane in which these DNA fragments could be stored. Because the agarose gel becomes fragile and it breaks off. Okay, the gel doesn't stay. So you have to transfer this entire pattern, if this is a pattern, or the entire DNA thing, into a nitrocellulose membrane if you want to store it. How will you do so? Let us answer this in the next section. Transfer it into nitrocellulose membrane, or to transfer the agarose gel pattern into nitrocellulose membrane, what you will do is you will take a big vessel and you will pour buffer in it. Okay, now here you will put a block, wooden block or whatever. Over it put a filter paper like this. Put a filter paper like this. Okay, now when you put the filter paper, this is the buffer. Now the buffer will rise through the filter paper. Now above it you will put the gel. Above it you will put the agarose gel on which the DNAs are separated. All the DNAs are separated. That agarose gel, this agarose gel is put it here like this, sidewise. Okay, so this is a wooden block and this is the filter paper and this is the agarose gel. Now what you will do, over it you will put a nitrocellulose membrane. This is a nitrocellulose membrane, and over it you will put some filter papers again. So suppose this is the nitrocellulose membrane, and over it put some filter papers like this, and over it put some weight just to keep it intact. Now the buffer will feel capillary action and go up, and due to the filter paper present here, the capillary action will exist and the buffer will try to go into these filter papers. But the affinity of the buffer with the filter paper and the affinity of the buffer with the DNA, now affinity of buffer with the filter paper is less than the affinity of the buffer with the DNA. So what will happen when the buffer will rise, and it will rise up, but the DNA will also rise up with the buffer, because the buffer and the DNA has a greater affinity. So the DNA, when the buffer will pass through this, the DNA will also pass through, because the buffer and the DNA has greater affinity than the buffer and filter paper. But however, again, the affinity of nitrocellulose membrane with the DNA is greater than buffer and DNA. So affinity wise, buffer and filter paper has less affinity than buffer and DNA. And due to this reason, what will happen? The DNA will rise with the buffer into the nitrocellulose membrane. Then again, the affinity wise, affinity of buffer and DNA is less than DNA and nitrocellulose membrane. So what will happen? The DNA will remain in the nitrocellulose membrane and the buffer will move up. So in this way it will be transferred into nitrocellulose membrane, and hence the same pattern you have obtained in the agarose gel will be transferred in the nitrocellulose membrane and it can be stored now. Remember always the process of gel electrophoresis, the same process of gel electrophoresis depicting all throughout this page is like you can see in front of me. If this process of gel electrophoresis is applied for the process of gel electrophoresis, applied for a DNA is called southern blotting. The entire process. It's for if applied for separation of RNA, northern blotting. And if applied for separation of proteins, then it is called western blotting. This is info. Remember this. Okay, our next topic is vectorless gene transfer. Now, what is vectorless gene transfer? Means if there is a target DNA and if there is a cell in which you want to put the DNA, you will want to put the gene without the help of any vector, without the use of any vector. Now, how can you do it? You can do it by 4 methods. Number 1, chemical method. In chemical method, what you do is you treat the cell and the gene in a test tube containing PEG, polyethylene glycol. This chemical creates pores in the cell wall or cell membrane and hence put the gene inside. Cell membrane, create pores in the cell membrane. But remember that if this cell is a plant cell, a fungal cell, in those cases this cell wall needs to be dissolved. And when the cell wall needs to be dissolved, we treat them with the enzymes which dissolves the cell wall. And from there, the protoplast should be taken out, and this chemical polyethylene glycol creates pores in the protoplast, creates pores in the protoplast which allows the gene to enter inside the cell. So this is the basic fundamental thing. Now, this is the first method, that without any vector also you can make it enter. Number 2 is biolistics or gene gun method. In biolistic or gene gun method, what happens is you take a tungsten or a gold particle and on the tungsten or gold particle you load your target gene and then take this small particle and with the help of gene gun put the particle inside the cell. Okay, so you want to put the particle inside the cell using gene gun or bialistic, then you need to shoot it with a speed of 1400 feet per second. Now this speed is important because if you shoot faster or slower, then there could be two consequences. It would go, if you shoot faster, it would go and pass the cell. If you put it slower, then it would not, it wouldn't bounce back. So this particular speed is very important. Number 3 method is electroporation. Electroporation. In electroporation, what we do, we take the cell and we apply electric field for a very brief moment. Due to the application of electric field, pores are created in the cell. So that is also a method. Number 4th method is micro injection. In micro injection, what happens? There is a vacuum, okay? And through this vacuum, a particular suction pressure is created through which the animal cell is held here. Now, this is attached with a device which looks like this again, and from here the target gene is being injected with the help of a needle, very thin needle, inside the cell. Now if this is a eukaryotic cell, then the problem is even more, because you have to inject it inside the nucleus. Okay, so this type of thing is known as micro injection. So I hope you have understood all the 4 methods of vectorless transfer of genes, or transfer of genes, or the modern ways of transfer of genes into the cell. However, when you want the transfer of the genes which has vectors, I mean which are ligated with vectors. Suppose this is the vector, okay, and it is ligated with the, and this is the target gene, it is ligated with the vector. So generally how we make the cells competent. Suppose there is a cell in which I want this plasmid DNA or rDNA, okay, the recombinant DNA to enter, because this is the recombinant DNA. Okay, now what we will do is, we will take this in the recombinant DNA in the solution, put the cell in the solution and treat them with CaCl2, on which they get treated with Ca plus 2. When they get treated with Ca plus 2, as you know that the DNA is negatively charged and the cell membrane is hydrophobic in nature, so it doesn't enter. So when you treat with Ca plus 2, the vectors get loaded with Ca plus 2, and also there is creation of pores through which easily the vectors can enter inside the cell. This is called making the cells more competent. This is also called increasing the competency of the cells. So I hope this is very clear with you. This is not a big deal. Okay. When we are transferring the target gene with the help of a vector, suppose there is a vector, okay, and you have created recombinant DNA with the help of a target gene put inside the vector. Obviously, the size of this vector is less than the size of recombinant DNA, or the vector which is ligated with the target gene. Because nothing is lost from the vector. It's just that with the endonuclease it was cut open, yes or no, and it had created sticky or blunt end, and the target gene was also cut from with the same endonuclease from its genome and has come and bound here. So definitely all the gene segments that are here is also present here, but an extra segment is present here. So definitely its sizes is more. So if in a solution there are vectors and also there are recombinant DNAs, okay, these are the recombinant DNAs, there are vector and the recombinant DNAs. How can you separate them? You can separate them, first thing is by gel electrophoresis, yes or no? Why gel electrophoresis? What will happen? If you run them, the circular ones runs very fast, that is the first thing. But what will happen is the ones which have not recombinant and had remained like that only will go at the bottom, and these are, as because heavier, will stay at the top. If you have understood gel electrophoresis, you will understand this thing. Actually, see, we do gel electrophoresis in each and every step of recombinant DNA technology. Suppose, for example, that I told in a video yesterday also, I think. I told here, yeah. First you cut the genome, that time also separation of the fragments you do by DNA technology, and after that you ligate the vector, and you know which one is a bigger vector, a bigger DNA, the vector or the recombinant DNA. Obviously the vector is smaller one, this bigger one, so you can do gel electrophoresis and you separate, and I explained the gel electrophoresis thing. So yeah, that is only I was telling here. In between I have explained a little bit vectorless gene transfer. Now the fact is this, that there is, if you remember the properties of a vector, the vectors must have an origin of replication, so that the plasmids replicate by themselves. After entering, the vectors should replicate by themselves, so they are, when the cell divides, they can also divide and replicate, and their numbers increase. A replication of protein of replication should be present, so that replication start. Important thing is selectable marker should be there. Restriction site, so multiple number of restriction sites, so that the endonucleases can cut them, so that you can put insert DNA. That is also important. One important point that you should take into account here is selectable marker. What is the work of this selectable marker? I told there also, details will be told afterwards. Today it will be told the details, that what is the importance of a selectable marker in a vector. In our PBR 322 diagram also, that we have learned, there are some selectable markers like tetracycline R, AMPR, means tetracycline resistance gene, ampicillin resistance gene. Generally they are antibiotic resistance genes, and why they are antibiotic resistance genes present in the vectors which you are using for transferring the gene into the host cell, and also sometimes enzyme producing genes are also there. We will try to understand that with the help of example. Let us go and try to understand. Okay, suppose for example you have taken a vector and you have taken a target gene, right? Now you want them to ligate, so in a solution you will put the vectors and you will put the target genes, yes or no? Now after that you may be resulted with the vectors which have not taken up the gene and the vectors which have taken up the gene, which I have just said, right? Which have taken up the gene, and obviously you have loaded them with endonuclease also, yes or no, so that the cut is generated. Anyway, now Obviously, in modern scientific labs, they will now do gel electrophoresis to separate them. But even if you do gel electrophoresis now, in this step you do gel electrophoresis, and you separate out them in a gradient. The smaller ones which are the recombinant DNA, suppose these are the recombinant DNAs, this stays back. So you will know that these are heavier, so these are the recombinant DNA, you can elute them out. Are you getting my point? You can take them out. That you can do. Then you can take this out, you can take this out, okay, and put it in a mixture and do spooling of it, put ethanol and do spooling of it, take it out and use it. How? You give those recombinant DNAs now, put those recombinant DNAs with the cells. Suppose these are the recombinant DNA and some cells are entered and you want these cells to take up this molecule or take up this DNA inside. বোঝা যাচ্ছে তো? Take up this one. So you will treat with Ca+2. But still increasing the competence, you will find this case. This is the chromosome, this is the chromosome, this is the chromosome, okay. Now this cell number 1 has taken up the recombinant DNA. Cell number 2 has taken up just the vector and cell number 3 has taken up nothing. Now how will you separate them? Are you getting my point? See, they say one antibiotic resistance gene should be there. Now, when there is a presence of antibiotic resistance gene not in the chromosome but in the plasmid, I told previously also that antibiotic resistance gene can be present in the plasmid. When there is a presence of antibiotic resistance gene not in the chromosome but in the plasmid, then if you take a plate and give nutrient media in this plate and allow this cell culture and pour this cell culture here and allow all of them to grow, this type of cells which have not taken up the plasmid will not grow if you put some ampicillin in this media. With the nutrients you have put some ampicillin. The media itself contains ampicillin, and as because the cell's chromosome cannot contain the or do not contain the ampicillin resistance gene or maybe tetracycline resistance gene, this type of cells will not survive only. But the recombinant cells also having maybe somewhere here ampicillin resistance gene, and the cells which are not have taken up the raw plasmid. However, here this problem will not be there. Why this problem will not be there, you know? Because if you already do gel electrophoresis and separate and elute them out, in your this mixture, only your recombinant DNA will only be there. So you can get this type of cell or this type of cell. This type of cell you will not get only because you did not mix it, you did not mix the cells with this mixture or this mixture. You have mixed the cell after doing gel electrophoresis, separating on the basis of the size. Right or wrong? But still sometimes you may not be perfect in doing the gel electrophoresis. That is one thing. Second thing is, sometimes suppose you don't have the time to do gel electrophoresis or your lab is not that advanced. In that case also your answer is there. If you do the gel electrophoresis and separate out the non-recombinant plasmids, that is good. But if you could not, then you will get three types of cells. Now this type of cells automatically went out. These two are there. Now how will you separate? There is a method of separating these two types of cells, which have taken up the normal plasmid, which have taken up the recombinant plasmid. For that we need a enzyme producing marker. But antibiotic resistance gene, if it acts as a marker, then if we know we are using a plasmid called PBR322. In PBR322 there is tetracycline resistance gene, there is ampicillin resistance gene. And when we know there is tetracycline and ampicillin resistance gene in PBR322, I can only exploit these two. In a media I can give either ampicillin or tetracycline and expect that no other colonies will grow except these ones. So I have to be sure that from this solution only this type of cell which have taken up the recombinant DNA and not taken up the recombinant DNA should be there. This shouldn't be there. Right or wrong? For that we need to do gel electrophoresis, separate the bigger ones or this type of plasmids out. Okay, so that in this solution when I put Ca+2 and put the cells, no normal plasmid is there only. All recombinant plasmids are there. Because on the basis of gel electrophoresis, I have separated them out. But by chance, if there is, so I hope now you understand. Now what will happen is, let me come to by chance later on. Now what will happen is, just forget this. Now among these two, which one do you think will grow in the nutrient media? This one will grow or this one will grow? Obviously this one will grow because this has the antibiotic resistance gene. So you already know that the colonies that are growing contains the recombinant DNA. Now you can take them out and can use it. You can take them out and use it. So you get your recombinant hosts. You get recombinant hosts. I hope you understand this. But one problem remains, sir, by chance I encounter this and this together. How will I separate it? I am going to say it now. Okay. So now the question arises how to separate a bacteria which has taken up the recombinant DNA and which has taken up the only plasmid which is not a recombinant DNA, which is not joined with the target gene. In such cases, first of all you have to use vectors like PAC19. Now in this vector there are lots of restriction sites, RSS, of different enzymes, but there is also ampicillin resistance gene. With the ampicillin resistance gene, there is a LAC-Z gene. And the interesting thing is that when suppose this is your target gene, when the target gene will enter, it will enter in the LAC-Z portion. So the restriction site 1, the restriction site 2 of a different enzyme, the restriction site 3 is already there. Ampicillin resistance gene is also there. And in the place of the LAC-Z is a galactosidase producing gene. A galactosidase is an enzyme. LAC-Z is a galactosidase producing gene which is an enzyme which breaks galactose or X-gal, a compound available known as X-gal, which is similar to galactose. Okay. Now if this gene has entered in the LAC-Z position, then this entire gene has got disrupted. So the bacteria which has taken up just the plasmid will produce LAC-Z. Okay, and the bacteria which has taken up the recombinant DNA will not produce like Z, yes or no? They will have their own chromosome. Now, if you grow them in a culture media, suppose this is a plate, culture media means there is nutrient for growth and there is ampicillin put. Both the plasmids, the cell type 1 and the cell type 2, which has taken up this plasmid and this plasmid, both of them will grow because both of them can show ampicillin resistance. Ampicillin resistance is not a problem. So, both of them will grow. But some of them will show blue colony, some of them will show white colony. Now the ones which have shown the blue colony has taken up this one, and you will select the white colonies which are your recombinant colonies. You will select the white colonies which are your recombinant colony. Now why you take white colonies, reason is X-gal when broken down gives blue coloration. So definitely when X-gal is broken down, this is the cell which will be able to break down X-gal. Reason is because it produces the galactosidase enzyme and X-gal is broken down. And when X-gal is broken down, blue coloration, so these are carrying the intact like Z, yes or no? But the white ones is not being able to break down X-gal because his gene is disrupted. Okay, here also inside the lag Z only a restriction site was there. That's why it could enter. Okay, and hence those will be of white colonies. So in this way you can separate them. So for that you require another type of marker. So first type of marker is antibiotic resistance gene. For this you require a second type of marker is enzyme producing gene. So I hope that you have understood now about the selectable markers. Now we will learn about amplification of the genes. By PCR method. Polymerase chain reaction. Polymerase chain reaction. So amplification of the gene by PCR or polymerase chain reaction. Now this polymerase chain reaction, look, you know that if you put a recombinant DNA inside the cell, and this target gene can multiply, right or wrong? Because when the cell will divide, this plasmid will also divide and increase in number. But however, suppose for example you have found out a gene segment, this is a target gene segment, or this is the DNA of a rapist, suppose. This is the DNA of a criminal, you don't want to lose it. That's why before going into recombinant DNA, trying to put it, and suppose this is a gene of a very rare protein. Very rare protein. You want to produce this protein. You want to add this to a vector, put it inside, okay, and then amplify, make the vector multiply and then isolate, do gel electrophoresis and all sort of stuff that you have learned. But if you fail, you will lose your gene or DNA. For that reason, they do polymerase chain reaction. Beforehand only, they multiply the numbers. Are you getting my point? And keep it. Are you getting my point? Also, if it is the DNA of a criminal, then also they would like to keep it. At that time, they don't will you do the trouble, or will you spend money to use bacterial cells, vectors, and then amplify it? No, you will do a much more easier process, polymerase chain reaction. In polymerase chain reaction, you will just amplify the number of genes and you will not be able to produce the protein of it. That's why DNA technology or recombinant DNA technology is required. But polymerase chain reaction is just to amplify the numbers of gene, just to amplify or increase the number of copies. That's all. Okay. You will say স্যার তাহলে ভেক্টরের মধ্যে দিয়ে যে সেলটা ডিভাইড করবে, তারপর ভেক্টরগুলো আবার মাল্টিপ্লাই করবে আর নাম্বার বাড়বে. দিস ইজ ইম্পর্টেন্ট বিকজ হেয়ার প্রোডাকশন অফ দ্য প্রোটিন অলসো ক্যান বি ডান বিকজ ইট ইজ ইনসাইড আ সেল সিস্টেম. Yes or no? But here we will just multiply. And we will do it before entering into recombinant DNA technology, because sometimes a rare protein gene can be there which we want to save, we don't want to lose, because we may fail in our this. It may require multiple attempts sometimes. So that's the reason polymerase chain reaction. Now the technique of polymerase chain reaction is that, find out the name of the scientist, I forgot. In polymerase chain reaction, what happens is, you take the DNA, okay, it is double stranded DNA. Fine. Your first step is denaturation. Denaturation means you will just break down the hydrogen bonds and separate the strands. You will just break down the hydrogen bonds and separate the strands, not the phosphodiester bonds. Because if you bet the phosphodiester bond, the DNA will break down into fragments. You just want to separate the strands of the DNA. Just like in DNA replication, what was done by DNA guidase and SSB protein. Okay, they were separating the strand. Now, for denaturation, you will give, for the first step, you will give a temperature of 92 degrees Celsius for a very short period of time. So that they separate out. Now, you will lower the temperature little bit. Now what you will do, in the mixture, you will do next is annealing or renaturation. Here you will little bit lower the temperature, and what you will do is, suppose the DNA strands are separated, you will add RNA polymerase and RNA nucleotides. So that what happened, now if this is 5 prime to 3 prime, this will be 5 prime to 3 prime, this will be 5 prime to 3 prime, and this will be 3 prime to 5 prime. So 5 prime to 3 prime, 5 prime to 3 prime. Now DNA synthesis is always from 5 prime to 3 prime. So you will add RNA primer here, and you will add RNA primer here. Okay. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll not. I'll just reverse this. Okay. 3 prime to 5 prime, 5 prime to 3 prime. Now you see, just reverse it. It's not a big deal. Now you see, if this is 5 prime, if this is 3 prime, now here the nucleotides will be added. Now this one is created. Later on I'll come to this stage. Now this primer is created by RNA nucleotides, hydrogen bonding with this, hydrogen bonding with this, so that the primer creates. Because DNA polymerase cannot act or cannot add the nucleotides by themselves. They need an end so that DNA polymerase can add the DNA nucleotides. These are the DNA nucleotides. Next step we will add them, so that the extension occurs. Okay. So before the extension step, you have to do annealing step. So the primer comes and joins. And as because hydrogen bonding will be created, you will lower the temperature at I guess around 48 to 50 degrees Celsius. Are you getting my point? So just primer addition occurs. Why primer addition is important or RNA nucleotides are important? Because the primer is the RNA primer and RNA nucleotides will be created. And why it is created? To just create a 3' end so that at the 3' end the DNA nucleotides can be added. So in the next step now, here you will do extension, which is the third step. Now in the third step, extension step, you will add DNA polymerase, and now the mixture is heated at around 72 degrees Celsius. You will add good, thank you. DNA polymerase plus DNA nucleotides. DNA nucleotides means A, T, G and C. Now they will be added up like this and it will be extended. It will be added up and it will be extended. Now you already know that DNA polymerase has a property to wipe out the primer and creates its own strand. So that will also be done. So you get 2 new DNAs, and which is just the copy of the initial DNA. So the copy number increases. Repeat this cycle on and on. Again, if you repeat, if you treat it to 92 degrees Celsius, then again these two will be separated. Again you will add primer. Again this step will come, and now you will get 2 copies from here and 2 copies. So from 1 to 2 copy to 2 to 4 copies, and in this way, by each cycle, the number will increase by 2 to the power n. Yes or no? Number of cycles. So with that you can get billions of copies just by few cycles. Are you getting my point? Billions of copies just by few cycles, you can get billions of copies. Now the fact is this, that the DNA polymerase that you are using should be the DNA polymerase isolated from the bacteria Thermus aquaticus. Thermus aquaticus is a bacteria which loves to live in hot springs. So they can endure high temperature. So their DNA polymerase will not be degraded at temperature of 72 degrees Celsius where the reaction is going on. Are you getting my point? So that's why this type of DNA polymerase is also known as Taq polymerase. Why Taq polymerase? TAQ, Taq polymerase. Understand? So this is all about PCR. PCR is done for detection of gene of coronavirus nowadays. Okay. Directly they add probe. Suppose this is the sequence of the coronavirus RNA. They convert the RNA into DNA, which is known as reverse transcription. DNA থেকে RNA হওয়াকে কি বলে? Transcription, yes or no? coronavirus RNA, তাই জন্য এটাকে বলে রিভার্স ট্রান্সক্রিপশন। RNA থেকে DNA বানায়, রিভার্স ট্রান্সক্রিপশন। And when they take the DNA, ঠিক আছে, সেজন্য the PCR is also known as RT-PCR. Okay, reverse transcriptase PCR. Then they increase the copy number of the DNA of the coronavirus now, and when they add the probe, they add a probe which is complementary, okay, to the coronavirus DNA, and automatically the probe is radio labeled. Are you getting my point? And it show a graph that how much the person is infected by this radio level. Direct by PCR they are finding out. So this is how coronavirus detection is done. So anyway, this is just in small details I have told, but I hope you have understood the main objective of doing PCR: increase the number of the Okay, once we are done, now we are the last portion of the chapter, that is downstream processing, or this topic is known as the obtaining of the foreign gene product. So suppose your cell is there in which you have the plasmid, and in which you have the gene of your interest which is producing, suppose, insulin. Now you will grow this bacteria. You have selected this bacteria. Now you will grow this bacteria. How will you grow this bacteria? You cannot grow this bacteria in a plate where the nutrient will become exhausted. You will grow it in a continuous culture. Now continuous culture means where you can remove the waste products continuously and add fresh nutrients continuously, so that your cells which are growing always remain in log phase. Remember, there are growth phases. The lag phase, where they just generate themselves the growing power. The log phase, where they multiply. The stationary phase, where growth stops, and the death phase. All these phases can be seen in a particular media wherever it is growing, or in nature. But you, through your technique, will only want bacteria which has your gene of interest inside with a vector to be in lag phase, so that they continuously divide and produce the products. So that's why they go into stationary phase, due to exhaustion of the nutrients. So you never do exhaustion of nutrients, continuous supply of the nutrients. They will be in a lag phase at first, then they will be in a log phase, and you continuously will remove the waste products, so that there is no death phase also, or stationary phase. And hence what will happen is that continuous growth will be here. This is called a stirred type stirred, STIRRAD. So continuous stirring is occurring. So that's why stirred type bioreactor. And this is called sparger type bioreactor, in which mainly here it is good for growing anaerobic bacteria also, because maybe it doesn't require any oxygen, you can close it. If they require oxygen, you will use a sparger type. What you will do by using sparger type, a sparger is at the bottom, which collects air from outside and put it inside, so that continuous aeration of the culture occurs, and mixing of the culture through the aeration occurs. There is a shaft which is rotated, so there is continuous mixing and the gas is transferred. So aerobic bacteria can easily grow here, and hence your product will be developed. You will take out those bacterial cells, crack open the cells, take out the product, purify the product, which is a part of downstream processing. See the product for its effective or not, put it in trial like vaccines, and then put it in the market. Understood? So that ends our chapter properly.